One. I just want to start by saying welcome and thank you for joining us today. We're going to be going through our fiscal year 24 budget template with you guys in hopes that this will give a little refresher and some insight on the updates we've made for existing providers and hopefully just give a plethora of knowledge to any new providers or any new staff members with current providers that may be completing the templates. So I'll go ahead and share my screen with you guys. Right. So we'll kind of just hop right into it. Let me move my little Lenovo sign out of the way, just in case. All right, so what we're going to be going through today are the instructions for the budget template itself, the positions tab, SOAR tab. You'll see a new year-to-date budget variance, and we'll go over some other pointers for you guys. All right, so for our questions and instructions, for questions today regarding the training, we ask that you please put all questions, comments, anything you may have to contribute into the chat of this meeting. And then after this concludes, we will get a Word document together with all of the questions, comments, and things from today's training, and we will send it to you guys with the PowerPoint as well. And you guys will also be receiving the material from the training last week as well. And just so you know, this is recorded, so you will also get the recording of this. And then for the instructions for completing your budget template, your budget workbook has 6 tabs total, and the first tab included in that is the instructions tab, and it has a step-by-step guideline to assist you through completing all the tabs that are required throughout the template. So we'll kind of look at some of those now. So the first tab you will have to complete is the budget template. And this is what the updated budget template looks like for fiscal year 24. Looks a little different from 23 because 23 also included more prior year information, which made it kind of a large scale sheet that was difficult to use kind of on both ends. So we simplified it down, made it a little more user-friendly for both ends. That way we can have a more streamlined process from start to finish when completing this. So whenever you did receive your budget template, which you should have already by now, if you have not, please reach out to your senior program analyst and we will get it to you right away. But you will see in columns C and D your 23 program approved budget and your JWB approved budget will be pre-populated for you. So you won't even have to pull those numbers. We'll have them there for you. All right. And then as you start completing the template, you will include a narrative for each budget category in column B. And an update to the narratives for this year is that this field has a 1,000 character maximum. So please be aware and careful if you're copying and pasting from prior year and you get an error, you might have too many characters. So that's what that field will do if you have over 1,000 characters. And then for updating amounts for fiscal year 24, those will go in columns E and F here. Position amounts will populate for you on line 18 from the positions tab. And then column G here for SOAR, this is your program amount less your JWB amount. So this column G calculates for you. It's already there, it'll do it for you, and you'll be able to see the expected SOAR amounts that you would want to have also on your SOAR tab. All right. Okay, so for columns I through L here, these are also formulas pre-populated for you, and they will show the program and JWB amount and percent changes from prior year. So the updates that you have for fiscal year 24, this will reflect those amount and percent changes. And then for cell G26, that will populate for you from the SOAR tab. And that's kind of like a check for us on the SOAR between the calculations that are pre-populated on the budget template and the amounts that you manually enter on the SOAR tab. And so this at the bottom here, indicated in with letter F here, is a check for your SOAR just to make sure that what's expected is what's on the SOAR tab. And then the total amount for JWB here, reflected by letter G, should equal the amount that you received on your funding renewal from your program consultant. And you should have already received those as already. So once you complete this, that amount should tie to your funding renewal. And just as a reminder, we do have the chart of accounts in the JWB financial policies and procedures. And so it includes descriptions on budget categories and gives a little insight on what could be allowable or unallowable in those budget categories, and anything that's not reflected in those categories in the chart of accounts, just reach out to your senior program financial analyst and they'll be able to answer any clarification questions you might have. All right, so moving on to the positions tab. So this is what the updated positions tab looks like. In prior year, we did have two tabs that kind of encompass positions in the salary analysis. So you will see just one tab for this now. And hopefully we have encompassed it all in one place. So it's kind of a one-stop shop for everything related to positions. And also, just like the budget template, your fiscal year 23 position information will be pre-populated in columns A through H. Right, so completing the positions tab, columns I through O are what you guys will need to complete or make any updates to for fiscal year 24. So current and existing positions, I through O will need to be completed for those. If you are adding any new positions, you will also have to complete columns A and B for those. And you will see additional lines on your budget template for any new positions that you would want to add. If for any reason we don't have enough additional lines there for you, let us know, we'll add some, but I think we did enough lines to where you should be able to put a decent amount of new positions if you need to. So then as you fill in those, you will also do columns I through O for those positions as well. And so columns F, G, M, and N are all formulas, and we'll calculate those percentages for you. All right, so columns P through U are also formulas similar to the budget template where it'll show you the percentage change. So when you see any significant percentage changes and you know what is driving those changes, we ask that you include those comments in column V here, just as I guess it'll save us a little back and forth when sometimes we're reviewing the positions, and if you already know why it's changing and what causes that, if you want to put that there, that'll kind of save us time on both ends, and we'll be able to review it much easier. And so for any eliminated positions, of course, you will put 0 for the amounts in fiscal year 24, but please just notate in this column as well if you're removing the position, just so we know, and because that'll stick out to us if we have a position fully at 0 for the new year. So for the SOAR tabs, we have added a tab this year that you will see in your budget workbook, which is SOAR categories. And that is reflected on the right side of your screen. So those are all of the allowable funding sources for any SOAR amounts that you will be putting on the SOAR tab. So we ask that you reference the SOAR categories tab when completing this and using these specific funding sources in column A here on the SOAR tab. Oh, I'm going ahead. And if you don't have any SOAR, please just indicate NA in column A on the schedule, and we'll just know that you don't have any other sources of revenue. And just as a reminder, cell G26 on the budget template will pull the total amount from the SOAR tab, and it will do that check on the budget template tab to make sure those expected calculations tie to the amounts that you are manually entering on the SOAR tab. And for any amounts that include subtotals in your narratives, just confirm that those amounts in the narrative tie to the total amount that you are entering on the tab. All right, so something new for this year that was not included in prior year budget templates is your year-to-date budget variance report. So here we just have a simple example of what your budget variance will look like, and it will be the last tab of your budget template workbook. And this represents your current year-to-date spending, and it helps as a good indicator for predicting financial needs for the next year. So based off the timeliness of your reimbursements through the end of March, this year-to-date budget variance should reflect through March 31st, but keep in mind if any reimbursements were not submitted timely through then, it may not be an accurate 6-month reflection. So just keep in mind when reviewing this to specifically look for the period ending on the schedule. And that will help you with indicating any expenses for future years. All right, so a couple other just notes here. Please return your completed workbook to your assigned program financial analyst no later than June 16th. We will review the budgets in order which they are received. And then once the finance team has reviewed your budget, they will then forward it over to your senior program consultant and evaluator for programmatic review. And once that review is complete, program finance will reach out to you to determine if any updates are needed and if any Teams meeting or additional correspondence seems more appropriate. And if you would prefer a Teams meeting to go over your budget, please let your senior program financial analyst know, and we'll go ahead and get that set up for you. And just as a final thing here, we provided a link at the end for the JWB financial policies and procedures, which includes the chart of accounts that'll really help you guys when determining certain items in which budget category they should fall into. So I just want to say thank you again for coming, and I hope this was helpful. And I'm going to turn it back over to Stacy, and she's going to go over any questions we may have gotten.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I appreciate it. Honestly, I'm not seeing one question. So before Sarah started, I was going to say we didn't get nearly as many questions as we expected when we did this on the 17th. So I believe we actually changed it. So we were only asking for 60 minutes instead of 90, but now I'm starting to think we should have asked for 30 because I'm not seeing any questions. So I open the floor to anybody who wants to raise their hand, but it would be nice if you could document the question in the chat because we're trying to make sure that we provide a Word document back to everybody, not just you guys, but the folks who are on the May 17th call as well. So, but if there aren't any questions, Laura's got a question.
Not a question. I just want to thank Sarah for putting this together to kind of help us back and forth. I tell you that the program financial analysts have done a great job trying to streamline this process to try to eliminate, like she said earlier, the back and forth. So hopefully, I think she had a pretty good tutorial as far as walking through the piece. But of course, at any time, if you've got a question or don't understand something, you can review the video, reach out to your senior program financial analyst. we are really looking for these budgets to be in by June 15th. That give us enough time. You just have to remember, we get about 100 budgets. So as when she said, first come, first serve, that's how we're going to be reviewing those. And we've got to get them all approved. We've got to get all the program consultants to sign off on them. They need to all come through me to sign off. So, you know, the sooner we can get these done, it'll be great. You should all have your allocation numbers. You should all have your budgets, templates. And so hopefully the time and effort that they put in this little update for us will help us move forward in a timely fashion. But thank you to her and the whole team over there. So Stacy, I'll kick it back to you.
Hi, I'm just seeing a question come in. But before I read that and answer it, also the actual instructions tab on that template is really in depth. So I've already gotten a couple of questions from providers, and you know, and like I'm trying to point them to the instructions tab in the budget template that we already sent out. We really went out of our way to maybe provide too much information so that we were maybe overly helpful. There's a question here: if a position title has changed in any way, is it required to be a new position number? There are very few instances where a position title changes and it doesn't need to be a new position number and a new position. So I would definitely err on the put it in as a new position. Then Lisa Blair's just thanking us for providing helpful information. I'll tell you guys, if you are cutting and pasting from your prior year's narrative into the new template, paste values, if you want the row height to actually adjust, it may not adjust if you just do control, copy paste, and then you'll get frustrated because you can't read it. Just trying to think of a few things that we noticed when we tried to catch any potential errors or glitches. Trying to think of anything else. Think about, doing your budget, not just taking last year's and putting it into the new year and changing the amounts. Think about putting something together that really meets your needs for next year. Make sure that your positions, a lot of agencies received workforce stabilization this year. Make sure that your 24 position amounts reflect your workforce stabilization salaries. If you got, training, operating costs, stuff like that in workforce stabilization, please make sure those are in there because we'll be looking for them. This is just some bigger picture things. Oh, here, Robin's asking. Yes, that's exactly right, Robin. Somebody asked about workforce stabilization increase. Everybody got like 6 months of that increase in 23, but the full 12 months should be in FY24. The only thing that really wouldn't is if you had those one-time costs, like say you had a new position and we were going to buy like a desktop or a laptop for that person, that would clearly just be in the FY23 budget. It wouldn't be annualized for next year. All right, I can't think of anything more to say. I feel like I provided a little bit of a summary last week when nobody had questions. So I'm hoping this is a sign that everybody's budgets are going to come in and we'll maybe have 2 versions and we'll just be good to go. And we'll be done by the end of July. Julia, are there any closing?
I don't see any additional comments.
Okay.
So I was just a little confused as far as how we're giving this information out. So I heard Sarah say that we were emailing it and then we were taping it. So are we posting that somewhere, or what? If they're wanting to watch the video again, is that going to be on our website, or will you be sending that to them, or maybe we haven't figured that out yet?
I'm going to be finalizing the Q&A today.
And I'm going to reach out to our communications team to see if there's a way to post both of the recordings. And then make arrangements probably to either upload to the website or just simply directly email the presentation as well as the Q&A to everybody who are on the calls.
So if I attended this session, but I didn't attend the other one, but I wanted to see if there were any, oh, you said there were no questions on the previous?
There were questions on the
Okay.
previous call.
All
So
right,
the document I'm creating is the Q&A captured from both calls.
Oh, perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. Because someone may have asked something at the previous one that we didn't think about here. Yeah. Perfect.
Looks like we're good to go. Great
I-
job, Sarah. Really appreciate it. You did a wonderful job.
Great job, Sarah.
Yep. Thank you all. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you, guys.